Hare Krishna. We continue with mantras 4 and 5 of the Sri Isopanisad. These mantras deal with the inconceivable characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they run as follows. Ane jate kammanaso javi yo naina deva apnuvan purvam arshata tadhavatonyam apyeditishtat tasmin apomatarishva dadhati tade jati tannai jati taddure tadvantike Tadantarasya sarvasya tatu sarvasyasya bhahyataha. Although fixed in his abode, this personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain, he surpasses all in excellence. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. So the Supreme Person possesses unique qualities, obviously. Since his features appear paradoxical and baffling to the mind, he cannot be understood by mental speculation. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that even the great sages and demigods are unable to comprehend him. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 2. All contradictions, however, are reconciled in his personal form, as it is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 6:9-36. So mantra 4 clearly suggests that the absolute truth is ultimately the Supreme Person, Bhagavan. Otherwise, there would not have been any need to mention so many of his personal characteristics. The Lord has multifarious energies which are present everywhere. The fact that his energies are all pervasive, however, does not mean that he has lost his personal existence or that he deteriorates. Srila Prabhupada explains this in his purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 7, 121. There he says, for example, a businessman transforms his energy by establishing many big factories or business organizations, yet he remains a person, although his energy has been transformed into these many factories or business concerns. The Mayavadi philosophers do not understand this simple fact. Their tiny brains and poor fund of knowledge cannot afford them sufficient enlightenment to realize that when a man's energy is transformed, the man himself is not transformed but remains the same person. In his purport to Mantra 5, Srila Prabhupada stresses the importance of the terms Saguna and Nirguna. Saguna means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Nirguna means that he is free of all material limitations. This is the real meaning of these terms, and the important terms in the Vedantic discourse. The impersonal school of thought, however, raises the objection that the absolute truth must be devoid of qualities, that he or it must be nirguna, and any appearance of such qualities in the absolute should be considered an illusion, saguna. Nir means without, sa means with, nirguna and saguna. According to this Advaitavada theory of Shankara, Brahman is the absolute truth. On the highest level of understanding, which is called by Shankara Paramartika, Brahman is entirely devoid of qualities and therefore free of limitations. This is the real Brahman, the only Brahman actually, Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna Brahman is one without a second, in a sense that there is nothing besides him in existence. We, the Vaishnavas, we also use this term one without a second, but we take it to mean that there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that he and his energies constitute the sum total of reality. This is the real meaning. So, continuing with the Shankara's philosophy. Still, in order to explain the material world, Shankara is forced to introduce a duality in his so-called monistic doctrine. Thus, on a lower level of awareness, which he calls Vyavaharika, there is the appearance of the material creation, just the appearance of this material creation, the living entities, and Saguna Brahman, or Ishvara, who is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. Saguna Brahman is the lower Brahman, and this Saguna Brahman actually doesn't exist because he possesses qualities as omniscient, omnipotent, etc. And thus he is not free of limitations. This is paradoxical to say that somebody who is omniscient and omnipotent is not free of limitations, but there it is, the Mayavada doctrine. So, since he is not free of limitations, and this is because the Mayavadis take all qualities to be inherently material, and then he is not free of limitations if he has qualities. So, God as the supreme controller, the material energy, the individual souls, and the loving reciprocation between a devotee and God, all these exist on the level of ignorance only. On the perfect stage of spiritual understanding, Paramartika, there is only the pure consciousness without object. This is Nirguna Brahman. In this way, the Advaitavada theory reaches a conclusion which actually contradicts one of the fundamental tenets of Vedanta. And this is that Brahman is the cause of everything. Janmadi yasya yataha. Since Brahman is changeless, the Mayavadis argue, he must be without any effects. Hence, the material world cannot be real because this will imply a change in Brahman. Thus, in order to save the unchangeable nature of Brahman, the Mayavadis sacrifice the reality of the world. They reduce the world to simply an illusion. It doesn't exist at all. Srila Prabhupada refutes this conception from the position of Vyasadeva's Shakti Parinamavada. Srila Prabhupada writes, in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is the following mantra, Aitat Atmyam Idam Sarvam. This mantra indicates, without a doubt, that the entire world is Brahman. The Absolute Truth has inconceivable energies, as confirmed in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Parasya Saktir Vividaya Vashruyate. And the entire cosmic manifestation is evidence of these different energies of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is a fact, and therefore, whatever is created by the Supreme Lord is also factual. Everything is true and complete, Purnam. But the original Purnam, the complete absolute truth, always remains the same. This is the invocation of Sri Isopanisad. Purnat Purnam Udachite Purnasya Purnam Adaya. The absolute truth is so perfect that although innumerable energies emanate from him and manifest creations which appear to be different from him, he nevertheless maintains his personality. He never deteriorates under any circumstances. So, Prabhupada continues, it is to be concluded that the entire cosmic manifestation is a transformation of the energy of the Supreme Lord, not of the Supreme Lord or Absolute Truth himself, who always remains the same. This is the difference between Vivartavada, the theory of the Mayavadis, which it says that the material world is simply an illusion, because if it's real, then this will contradict the immutable nature of Brahman. And Shakti Parinamavada, the real understanding of the Vedic literature, according to the Vedanta Sutra, which explains that the Supreme Lord himself remains unchangeable and immutable, but his energy transforms. And this is done because the Supreme Lord wants this to be done. This is done for his pleasure, for his pastime. So, Srila Prabhupada continues, the material world and the living entities are transformations of the energy of the Lord, the Absolute Truth, or Brahman, who is the original source. In other words, the Absolute Truth, Brahman, is the original ingredient, and the other manifestations are transformations of this ingredient. This is also confirmed in the Taittiriya Upanishad, where it is stated, this entire cosmic manifestation is made possible by the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, it is indicated that Brahman, the absolute truth, is the original cause, and that the living entities, jivas, and the cosmic manifestation are effects of this cause. The cause being a fact, the effect is also factual. They are not illusion. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 7, 1-1 purport. So, establishing his theory of illusion, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Shankara quotes an analogy from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. The Upanishad speaks about the magician who is, quote, a juggler only for those who are deceived by his tricks, and who fancy that they perceive the objects conjured up. But to the discerning few who see through the trick and have no illusion, the juggler fails to be a juggler. Similarly, those who believe in the world show, think of God through this show and call him his creator, etc. But for those wise few who know that the world is simply a show, there is neither any real world nor any real creator. So this is a summary of the Mayavad doctrine. Now, the fact that the wise few, quoting the analogy cited above, can penetrate through the tricks of the juggler does not entail that the juggler and his audience do not exist. It's simple logic. The Mayavadis claim that they are the few chosen wise men because they don't accept the Creator as real. Well, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, however, a person who does not recognize the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered a fool. This is what Bhagavatam says, 1:8-19. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You, Krishna, you are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So this is the real situation. It is not symptom of education and intelligence. It is symptom of foolishness to not recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna himself says, "Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be." In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada uses the same verse to explain the position of the Mayavadis, the fools and rascals who deride God. Srila Prabhupada says, just imagine if the king or the prime minister visits the prison, and then the prisoners are able actually to see him face to face. Imagine if they decide that, oh, the king or the prime minister, he is also a prisoner. He's one of us. Just look at him. He's here in the prison. Well, the fact that he's in the prison doesn't mean that he's a prisoner. But the foolish prisoners in the material world, the Mayavadis, somehow or other, they reach to this conclusion. All the while, fooling themselves that they are amongst the few wise men. Okay, since the Lord is absolute reality, the material world cannot be false. It is just an inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferiority does not imply falsity. What is false is not the Lord's energy, but the perverted way the jiva perceives the Lord's energy. The conditioned soul takes Maya to be without any connection with Krishna, and this false conclusion is called Maya or illusion. Everything we see is Krishna only. But when we see Krishna and do not recognize him, this is illusion and ignorance. This illusion is the Purusha Bhava, the conviction that I am the controller and the enjoyer and the best friend of all. Ishvaro ham aham bhogi. This is from Bhagavad Gita 16:14. So, according to the Vaishnava scholars, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is both Saguna and Nirguna. Whenever Shastra describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Nirguna, Nir, as we already explained, Nir means without, Guna means qualities. The meaning is that the Lord is not tinged with any material contamination. And Saguna, applied to Krishna, indicates that the Lord is full with perfect transcendental qualities. Srila Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.7.2, purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descends on the earth by his own internal potency, and therefore there is no question of his becoming materially contaminated, changed, or otherwise affected by the modes of material nature. The Lord is Saguna by his own internal potency, but at the same time he is Nirguna, since he is not in touch with the material energy. The restriction of the prison house is applicable to the prisoners who are condemned by the king's law, but the king is never affected by such implications, although he may visit the prison house out of his good will. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also confirmed the same conclusion in his book Amnaya Sutra, where he discusses the terms Saguna and Nirguna. The Lord is full of transcendental qualities. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's conclusion on this topic. And attracted by these qualities of the Lord, the devotees enter in different types of relationships with the Lord based on loving devotional service to Him. The Vaishnavas therefore react strongly against this monistic Mayavad theory that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is devoid of qualities. This is not only a logical and theological absurd, but most importantly for the devotees, this is a disturbance for their rasa. The devotees are relishing loving reciprocations with the Lord, and this theory is just a nonsense. In the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 4.20.27, Srila Prabhupada explains, the Mayavadi philosophers take the absolute truth to be nirguna, without qualities, in accordance with the impersonalistic view. But actually the Lord is the reservoir of all good qualities. One of the most important qualities of the Lord is his inclination to his devotees, for which he is called Bhakta Vatsala. Jiva Goswami explains that Krishna sometimes may contradict his qualities. And he gives example. One of the qualities of Krishna is that he is pure. His soul is pure, uncontaminated. But when he entered the Kamsa's arena, wrestling arena, he had blood on his clothes because he just killed the demon elephant Kuvalepida. So you can say he contradicts his quality of being pure. And Jiva Goswami gives other examples. But he says the quality that he is always very merciful and controlled actually by the love of his devotees. Krishna never contradicts this quality. Therefore, this is the most important quality, Bhakta Vatsala, of Krishna, that he is controlled by the prema of his devotees, and that he melts, his heart melts by the love of his devotees. Therefore, this theory of the Mayavadis is just absurd for the devotees. According to Srila Prabhupada, the term Saguna Brahman refers not to the Lord contaminated by matter, but rather to the conditioned souls and the material creation. These bona fide usages of the term Saguna Brahman are given in the Bhaktivedanta purports to Srimad Bhagavatam 4.27 and 3.26.15. Srila Prabhupada writes there, the living entities, who are many and who are entangled in this material world, are not pure. However, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pure and detached. Due to being covered by the material body, the living entities are not self-effulgent. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, is self-effulgent. The living entities, being contaminated by the modes of material nature, are called Saguna. Whereas Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Nirguna, not being under the influence of the material modes. According to the Vedic version, there is no existence beyond Brahman. Sarvakal Fidam Brahma. It is stated also in the Vishnu Purana that whatever we see is Parasya Brahmana Shakti. Everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Absolute Truth Brahman. When Brahman is mixed with the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, there results the material expansion, which is sometimes called Saguna Brahman, and which consists of these 25 elements. In the Nirguna Brahman, where there is no material contamination, or in the spiritual world, the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are not present. Where Nirguna Brahman is found, simple unalloyed goodness prevails. Saguna Brahman is described by the Sankhya system of philosophy as consisting of 25 elements, including the time factor, past, present, and future. So thus the actual meaning of Saguna and Nirguna was established. Through his forms as Virat Purusha and Antaryami, Virat Purusha is the universal form which includes everything. This is one of the forms of the Supreme Lord. Antaryami is the Paramatma, the Super Soul, in the heart of everybody. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through these two forms, is situated outside and inside of everything. Although he is all-pervading, and there is nothing but God within and without, he simultaneously exists as a Supreme Person, completely independent from his creation. And this is explained by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 9:4-6. The Lord is the master of all inconceivable potencies. For him there is no difference between the material and the spiritual energy, because he is the source of both. He can turn the material energy to spiritual. Thus he appears in the form of Archa Vigraha, Murti, to accept the service of his devotees. This Archa Vigraha is eternally existent with all paraphernalia and is both Saguna, which means possessing transcendental qualities, and Nirguna, free of material contaminations. Since the Lord is the master of all energies and the supreme enjoyer, the living beings should act according to his desire and not independently. Srila Prabhupada writes in his commentary to Mantra 4, every part and parcel of the complete whole is endowed with some particular energy to act according to the Lord's will. When the part and parcel living entity forgets his particular activities under the Lord's will, he is considered to be in Maya, illusion. Thus, from the very beginning, Sri Isopanisad warns us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. So we have to follow Krishna's plan. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own. Because he is part and parcel of the Lord, he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. When a person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to the association with Maya, the external energy. Bhagavad Gita provides an example of improper usage of one's initiative. In the beginning of the Gita, Arjuna refuses to take part of the dynamic devotional service and instead chooses a passive life of frustration. But by Krishna's mercy, Arjuna changes his mind, and at the end he decides that he wants to use his free will in order to satisfy Krishna.